Welcome back to the Scorpio channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to my channel, I'm going to do a general message for Scorpio. Know that energy is fluid. Roles can be reversed. Just interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also know on this channel and all my channels, I like to dive deep within the reading. So I look at everything, but we take a lot more time to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, to see how they play those karmic themes, help you understand why everything's playing out the way that it is, right? Want to know that because otherwise we get stuck in ruminating why the person does what they do. We can't figure it out. We talk to all our friends, we call psychics, we do whatever it is to try to satisfy that. When really it's not really that important, but we get caught up in the story and understand a lot of times that's what the karmic person wants you to do with it. So why? Because then you're giving them the energy. See, it's how much time, energy, focus, and money you put into something, which is how much you care. Those are your resources. If I was to pull out the Magician Tarot card, that's what it is, right? It's that you have all the tools that you need to heal, to create your life, to be successful in life. But if you're putting your time and your energy towards somebody that's not giving you anything in return, well, then we begin to feel depleted, we feel drained, we begin to get a headache, and no one wants that energy because then what happens is then you can't manifest if you're around people that are that way, right? They're energy vampires. That's what an energy vampire is. And there's nothing no bigger person that's an energy vampire than a past life karmic mate. Because again, they haven't learned certain things. You're dealing with somebody a lot of times that's on a different vibration and their character is bad and they trigger you. And like I said, it creates a whole lot, it wastes a whole lot of energy. Where really we're down here to be the expressions of love. And anyone that takes you out of that energy is disrupting your peace. So the most valuable thing that you can have is peace of mind. All right. Anything of any importance or relevance to the channel, you know where to find it. And you know I never know why I start my readings off the way that I do. I just start rambling and channeling, and I don't know why, but there's always something in that somebody's going to get a little nugget of information that they needed to hear, or it's playing out within the reading. We'll see. And don't forget to check out my shadow healing coaching program I was on yesterday. If you signed up, you have access to that valuable information. Every time we meet, I do a different topic. And it's a shadow healing topic. And it teaches you how to deal with those difficult relationships. And the reason why is because unfortunately, even if you break up with a person that has like a narcissistic type of energy, what you'll notice is you wind up attracting the same type of energy. If you grew up in a family that a mother or father was a narcissist, what you'll notice is you just attract narcissists all the time. And the reason why is because the universe always brings you what you need to heal, and certain experiences are what block you from being able to manifest. And it's because of trauma. So trauma needs to be integrated. We need to integrate the spiritual lesson, and that means see how we contributed to those imbalances, and then actually transmute the negative energy. A lot of people don't embody the new consciousness, which is, by the way, how you transmute the negative energy. You have to turn that pain into power. Turn the adversity into like strength. Utilize that. That's the only way that we can really embody a new consciousness. And a lot of times our pain is what brings us to the fruits of life, because it'll bring you to your soul's path. It will bring you to different people and different situations. And every single person that you come in contact with is here to help you become the best version of yourself. And that's because every single person is either teaching you through you getting triggered emotionally by them, or by them showing you just a different perception of life, maybe even inspiring you, obviously always creating some sort of emotional stir up. But it's all to help shape you into the best version of yourself. Sometimes we don't like what's going on, though. We're like, I don't really like the way that this is playing out. It's like, because it's making me feel inadequate. It's making me feel like, like I have to compete. It's making me feel like you don't value me. Whatever the energy is, it's always that someone is making someone feel a certain way. But understand no one can make you feel that way unless you need healing within inside of yourself. Really, that's what it is. Sometimes we don't even know what the healing is. Sometimes we feel like we're fine. We're walking along, we're fine, and then someone comes into our life and they just trigger us. Triggers or portholes to spiritually healing. And that's what it's all about. It's all about evolving back into your original energy of unconditional love so you can be that manifestation of love. And that's through your free will, what you choose to do. So the underlying energy is diplomacy. Diplomacy is one. We're also going to pull another because I always like to pull two cards. That's why. I don't know why. I just do feel like one card is almost like too flat. It doesn't, I know it doesn't make sense. Negativity. Well, I feel like you're in separation from someone that's really kind of pissed off because they can normally get underneath your skin. They can normally do things to trigger you, or if they, yeah, but with you and other people, they're a master at that. And so they might also be judging you from not really you, but from past relationships. Like when people have dated people and they've been sneaky and they've manipulated and certain things they see work. So they're someone that's very smug on themselves. And the thing is, it's like you're not feeding the energy. Diplomacy is kind of like you're holding to a standard, not really for them, but for you. Because there's a sense that on an intuitive level that the only power that this person has is to emotionally come in and stir you up. And there's a sense that they're not happy with who they are. And I say that because the left of me is aggressiveness, aggressive. And it's because this person doubts quite highly that you're really gonna give in to them at this point. I feel like at one point they really thought that that you would come back. Maybe the connection was enough that this was a game that they could, lie and say it was a misunderstanding. But now too much time has gone by, but the thing is, this person still has a timelessness connection to you, and they betrayed you. And the thing is, you showed this person something that they didn't realize, that you're going to be really intolerant to that. You're intolerant to the disrespect. And this person, I feel like they usually get away with treating people badly. So I feel like you just were somebody that met this person when they were just being like childish. They weren't really looking for a real serious type of relationship where you were a serious person. Like if you're going to give your time and your energy and allow someone to come into your world, you want it to be you want them to be secure in you. You want them to invest in you. You want them to, because you're investing in them. Remember, it's how much time, energy, focus, and money you put into something. That those are your resources. You're the magician of your life. And this person just assumed because they discredited what you do, whatever you do for a living. They did my, well, oh, what kind of job is that? Oh, it's not really that hard of a job. You really don't really have to do anything. But this person was viewing things through not really an educated standpoint. And the thing is, they didn't want to give you anything, but they didn't want to miss their chance with you either. So in this, it's like almost like they almost had their foot in the door, kind of put you on the shelf for a little while, you know. come back and I'll see like where you are within your career, within your life. It was almost like this person was judging you by what they perceive. So if you were in school, going to school, maybe I just heard to be an esthetician, this person was like, oh, how much money are you gonna make? What kind of job is that? Like judging you from outside appearances, where maybe you were putting yourself through school, so you weren't driving the newest car. You weren't wearing like the most fashionable clothes. This person like got caught up in the bling, what outside things look like, the appearance. And understand that says a lot about that person, that there is a lack there because no one would need to be with someone that drives a certain kind of car or wears certain kind of clothes or has certain types of things unless they say, well, it's going to make me look better to be with a person that actually has those things. So people are going to judge me through not just me, but what you have, which is like, which, listen, that might happen, but it doesn't really happen where a person designs it, where they're like, well, let me see, I'm gonna choose this person. Like, this person doesn't want to be grounded and give the time and the energy to cultivate a real relationship where it's like, yeah, like you wind up meeting neighbors and you wind up meeting other people and other couples, I should say. And you say, this person has this job, this person has this job, you know, um, but there's no real judgment about what anyone really does because when you meet people as a couple, it's how well people get along with each other. It's that vibe, and that this person has superficial relationships. That's what that tells me. Because if you are really comfortable in whatever it is that you do, and you can do anything from be a baker to be, a salesman, it doesn't matter if you are good with yourself. This person's not good within themselves. There's an insecurity there. And because they're insecure, because again, they wouldn't need all that. Wherever they're creating perceptions and illusions are fragmented places within inside that person. You triggered that. And the reason why is because, like I said, you met this person while you were in the process of creating yourself. You weren't 100% where you are now within your job or your career or the perception. You weren't as stable, when you weren't as strong. This person didn't see you for who you are now. So again, and everything was based on past experiences. They treated you the way they treat other people. They treated you through their past traumas. They never really gave this relationship a chance. And it's because they're fragmented. Like I said, everywhere where there's that illusion is a mask. And we're not our masks. People can see through the mask. They can see whether you're real. They can see whether you're not real. It's like, and it's just a vibe. And that's the thing. And that's this person like didn't take that vibe into consideration. And part of the reason why is because, hey, listen, this person does have addiction problems. They check out and they might smoke a little bit too much pot. They might drink a little bit too much. Understand when a person has intimacy issues. That's the second chakra imbalance. And the second chakra is all about our unique individuality, who we perceive we are. It's a spiritual center. That spiritual center is where the ovaries and the and I'm like the testicles, and I'm like, then the testicles, but that's not the prostrate. I don't know why I'm like, okay, it's where the prostrate and the ovaries are. So again, those are the reproduction or organs. So what we birth is not just a baby, but we birth ideas. And that's our passion center. We can go with the flow when we're in the passion for life, right? So we're only going to be in the passion for life when we know who we are and we enjoy what we do and we're a good person and we're trying to put the energy out there the best way that we know how. That's the thing, this person checks out. They feel inadequate. People that have addiction problems, they feel inadequate. They feel like there's something wrong. They're stuck in a perception about themselves, and that's the thing. It's like, I can't figure it out. Let me like check out. And that's that person. So they don't have. So it doesn't mean there isn't wishful thinking, but this person is not really being realistic. They weren't realistic because they didn't take the time to get to know you. They based who you are and what you would put up with on past relationships and their past traumas. So that's the issue. And that's the problem when people don't heal. They bring their baggage into the next relationship. So the relationship's always going to be turbulent, and it's always going to be because there's a lot of unresolved, issues which turn into conflicts, right? Because the spirit part of self is that God part of self that needs to be clean. It needs to be clear. We're down here to be that expression of unconditional love, and we can only do that when we're in the energy of love by giving and receiving of love, right? But you can't do that if you're in a connection with somebody that doesn't feel good about themselves and they have issues. So again, any little thing that you do is going to trigger them. It winds up becoming more of an entanglement where you're not really allowed to communicate. It's like they make you walk on eggshells, and so you're not allowed to have boundaries. It's a real like almost like the narcissist expects that you're an extension of them. And I say narcissist because narcissists don't know who they are. It's like they're not their behaviorisms. That person doesn't like who they are, so they act the way that they act. And they're coming from a place of fear. Only two energies, love and fear. Unfortunately, fear a lot of times looks really scary because there's rage and there's a lot of other lower emotions that are connected to fear. But the person doesn't know who they are. And so again, so that's why they feel the need to, you know, be with people that look a certain way, have certain things, because again, they perceive their partner as an extension of themselves, which means you wouldn't be allowed to have any boundaries. And here it is, you're someone that is the thing that this person likes about you is the thing that they would destroy in you because they haven't cultivated that happiness within inside of themselves. So even though there's this spiritual connection, it would always stay at that low vibration of lust, where it's again it'd be turbulent because it'd come out in a lot of anger issues with this person. And so spirit says, well, dealing with the person, they're always hiding things, but they're going to come in with a lot of romance, but don't fall for the illusion. They won't let you go deep within a relationship. So their relationships, it would all be about, you know, making up to break up to make up. But the relationship would never really grow or blossom. And there would be a lot of emotional and psychological damage that's done staying connected to a person like this over time. It's like they're conditioning you, almost like the rat with the bell. Where the rat gets a piece of cheese every time the bell rings, right? It's like that's what the narcissist does. They do it all through emotional manipulation and gaslighting. And that's really what we see here, that this person is like that. So for you, you have to say the focus needs to be on love, right? You have to say, why did you attract this person into your life? We always look at the inner child wounds, and the irony is that this is the only inner child wound card that's on the table because all the rest are in the box. And I think Spirit left that out for us to say, well, it's all about learning to love yourself. If you grew up with a narcissist, again, it's not uncommon to attract a narcissist because that trauma is still there. It's like, oh, I got away. But you got away from running away, Spirit says. And you're like, yeah, but I got out of that situation. I'm not around them anymore. So Spirit says, "Oh, well, we'll fix that." It's like because that makes you feel inadequate. That person made you feel inadequate. That person created illusions. That person made you feel a certain way. But there were also gifts from growing up in that type of environment. You become very intuitive, you become very psychic yourself, because it's a survival mechanism. So we look and we pull six cards to say, well, what were the inner child wounds? Sometimes they're gifts. The shadow doesn't just hide wounds. We tend to associate it just like that, but it's not. One, two, three, four, five, six. Okay. So we look and we see, look, trauma, space, truth, source, rage, and nurturing. So we see the trauma. The trauma to me was that there wasn't love, there was rage. Growing up in an environment with a narcissist, this narcissists have a lot of rage inside of them because they feel inadequate. No one wants to depend on other people's energy. The person doesn't like who they are, so they're afraid all the time. They already know people don't really want to deal with them. So they're shady. They try to steal love. They try to manipulate that because again, they don't feel like they have that. They feel like they're flawed. So hurt people hurt people. So growing up in that environment, like we see it right here, okay? But when you grow up in that environment, you become a truth speaker. You become a highly sensitive person that actually winds up being very close to source. Again, psychic energies, that's what I said before. So you didn't learn how to nurture yourself, though. And that's also taking care of yourself. A lot of times when a narcissist raises you, understand the narcissist doesn't have good habits themselves. So they're not teaching their child the best like habits a lot of times, or they might be someone that is very controlling and goes the opposite way. They're completely controlling and they don't let you breathe and have an identity and tell you how to do everything and how to do it so that you just stay in a place of feeling inadequate and uncomfortable all the time. So the thing is, either way, you have a lot of empty space, and that empty space is really creative energy. It's like that's like an empty canvas. It's like when you're born, you're an empty canvas. You have no experiences of anything. And so if you can imagine it, you can create it. You were in such the survival mind for so long. And the spirit says that you have to go out now and again and go and create. But before we create, we want to, like you said, become ourselves. You again were with we're raised by a narcissist. And so, or someone that was mentally like sick. Because a lot of times spiritually sick mirrors that bipolar, that narcissistic energy. Really, with it, narcissists are really mean. All right, so we see how to transmute that energy. And Spirit says, again, loving yourself. You grew up in an environment where you weren't taught to love yourself. We pulled that one, well, Spirit left that one out before. Again, so it's a double dose of loving yourself, which Spirit says, who comes to you? It's not who comes to you. Because narcissists will go to anybody, and they're going to go to the cream of the crop. And they're cocky enough to think that they can get away with it. And a lot of times they do, because they can be very charming and they can be the chameleon. And then they turn into who they really are. So, if you don't love yourself, you're going to be tricked because a person's going to come in that way. But if you know how to fill up your own cup and your cup is overflowing and the person comes in like that, you can see that they're an imposter. And Spirit says that you have to love yourself first. And if you're attracting a narcissist and you're entertaining the narcissist, which is what the problem is. It's not that the narcissist goes, so the narcissist is going to go the cream of the crop. It's the fact that you entertained the narcissist and it's you gave them too much too soon. Narcissists won't let you have boundaries. They're going to come in and become everything you want them to be. They've watched you, they've mirrored your energy. It's a survival tactic. And so again, where they try to mold, but no one can be a chameleon, can become someone else. And Spirit says it's time for you to go into uncharted waters. Go into uncharted waters, evoke your curiosity, discover new aspects of not just life, but yourself. Again, venture in with confidence. Everybody's got to fake it till they make it. Only we really know if we're not strong within ourselves. We have to do that. We have to do that for ourselves because, again, we get to see new aspects of life which allow us to have more choices in life. And Spirit says, and don't forget to take time out to create space to tap into the higher self. The higher self is the God part of self. Always spend time with yourself because number one, the kingdom of heaven's inside of you. So you always stay clear on your goal. You're always getting that intuitive advice from the higher self. And you're training yourself. You're training your nervous system again to be open to responding to the spiritual energies, is what Spirit's saying. And that allows you to just release control because understand you're allowed to say what you want to manifest, but you are not allowed to say how you achieve that goal, how you manifest your heaven on earth. We're not allowed to say that because that's up to God. That's up to how the universe brings us what we need to heal. And it's always going to be things that we probably wouldn't volunteer to do or go because we're like, oh God, but this is just logically, it doesn't make sense. And Spirit says healing is about seeing a different perception. And a lot of times we wouldn't see that unless we were distracted by focusing on a passion or creating ourselves or, you know, going out and venturing in and having a love affair with ourselves is what Spirit's saying. Love yourself means find yourself. Go out and have a love affair with yourself. See what stirs up your soul. What are you passionate about? Then you can be a magnet for people that are gonna have your energy, have your likes, like-minded people, right? Birds of a feather flock together and because you became it. And then when people come into your life and they don't really have your best interest at hand, you can see your intuition's going to see because you're not so close up to the picture. You're not emotionally hungry because you've already taken care of that part. You don't need that person to come in and do that. People get too emotionally caught up because they didn't get what they needed on an emotional level from their parents or from, people. And then we just automatically look for that outside of ourselves and we will always come up short. We will always not just come up short, but wind up paying a price for it karmically. And that's we lose money, we lose our resources. Again, we're the magician. So whatever it is that we need to manifest, well, now there's a lack. Now there's, because on a karmic level, there are just things that are playing out. All right, I'm going to leave that there. Oh, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. One more card. I've been forgetting one more card. Ugh. Then I'm going to leave that there. We leave off with one more card, which is peace. Be unwavering in the face of fear. Come to your senses, embrace challenge. You are determined to think with gentleness and calm, and you find your inner silence and become a manifestation of peace. And what I had said is there's nothing more important than your peace of mind because peace of mind allows you to be an open vehicle for spirit to work through, that you will begin to see things that will help create you. Even when you normally would see like the obstacles, and maybe there really are a lot of obstacles that are preventing you from moving forward. Not uncommon if you grew up with a narcissist. Don't worry. Is again, have faith. That's the test. Faith is the bridge that connects you to what we sow, to what we reap. So we have to have faith, and that's groundedness, and continue to become it, become it, become it, become it. Become yourself, is what I'm trying to say. Become it, whatever that is, because everyone that's listening is doing something else. That's what's going to bring vitality. Because when you clear your spiritual blocks, well, then you're able to get as much chi, prana. Well, again, another word for prana is spirit, because God's ubiquitous. So you're able to fill your light body with that energy. And that's what people will see, that at the end of the day, they might not understand 100% you or agree with everything that you have to say, but they will see that light. And again, then the universe makes a way where there is no way, just for you. I'm going to leave it there now, seriously. All right. Now, I'll probably be on a little bit later today. Now, if you were signed up to be in the shadow healing coaching program, I did one yesterday. Um, no one was on because I didn't know I was going to actually be on. So my apologies for that. But if you have signed up, you have access. All right. Until next time, be true to you. Bye bye.